the speaker, Sundararajan R, and Venkatesh, Chellam, AGM of KAP, and Sundararajan R have 30+ years of experience in audio banking and KP. He be in the author a book on branch audit. It was released by CALC Chennai, and then he has been a member of the Center for Quality Data ICAI for the year 2024, and now is presently a Treasury of International Fiscal Association, India Branch New Delhi. Thank you, sir, for ordering us. Thank you, sir. And then I was please rise to motorsport, please.
Yeshassutteshu jagrati Yeshassutteshu jagrati economic principles and ethical considerations which are central to the work of accountants. The entire world is deliberating about the impact of climate change coupled with disruptions of artificial intelligence. India has given philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and successfully hosted G20 summit on this theme and also launched Global Biofuels Alliance. The accounting profession also has an enormous responsibility to guide the world, where accountability meets innovation so that vision can be converted into solution. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, being the world's largest accounting body after the successful hosting of WCOA 2022 and GLOBAC, proudly presents before the world World Forum of Accountants 2025. Where accountability meets innovation for a sustainable planet. The world's brightest minds will exchange insights, explore emerging trends, and unlock the possibilities for the profession, where foundation will be laid to shape the vision for the future of accounting profession. Hosted at Yashobhumi, the largest convention and exhibition center in the heart of India's capital, New Delhi, inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, is all set to host the congregation of accountants from around the world. And while you're here, experience the vibrant culture and heritage of New Delhi, a city where history meets modernity, offering unforgettable memories.
World Forum of Accountants, an experience of 3 days, insightful discussion, groundbreaking innovations, and unparalleled networking opportunities.
With immense pride, we invite you to WOFA 2025, taking place happening from January 31st to February 2nd, 2025 at the magnificent Yashobhumi, New Delhi. Experience 3 days of insightful discussions, groundbreaking innovations, and unparalleled networking opportunities. World Forum of Accountants 2025 is where you need to be, where accountability meets innovation, AI for a sustainable planet. Join us at WOFA 2025 from January 31st to February 2nd, 2025 at Yashobhumi, New Delhi. For more details, visit wofa.icai.org.
So please, like us know. We request CA Abdul to on the show and present the members of the CA. We request CA to on the show and present the members.
So far, when this program was planned, I was asked to design the program to suit the bankers that is chartered ones in banking employment, so that it will be useful for the people who are there on doing this job. Banking, there is chartered ones who are employed in banks. Can it have anybody who is from industry, banking industry? Anybody? So which means then probably they have thought that they will be inviting other chartered ones also. It's the reason why we are going to have chartered ones in practice literally. Very unfortunate that the entire presentation has been done for chartered ones in employment. But anyway, see, there is nothing much difference between how you are going to act as a member in practice or a member in employment, because the subject content is same. It's basically a credits rather than advances. So, in fact, once again, this topic was also coined by me as creditor because they wanted to have a full day program. I said full day program is not viable, particularly in this particular month. Let's have an half day program. And then they decided what would be the focus. I said that advances is one focus area, another is forex focus area. These are the two focus areas, and once again, forex we wanted to apply to the members. Unfortunately, members are so busy in the industry, they are not able to join us. I have requested Mr. Venkatesh, who is known to me through some other friend, and they said that forex, one person who can be really resourceful today is Venkatesh. So I invited him, and he also readily agreed for the benefit of the limited people available here. But it doesn't matter. I always feel that whenever I am in a session, when the huge group is there, I say more the merrier. And when it is small, I always say small is beautiful. So we are having a beautiful crowd here, so that we have interaction in a better manner. They have set us 5 to 8, but we have started only by 5:40. So it is for you to take a decision. 5 to 6:30 is my program. Now it's 5:40. I can complete by 6:30, I can complete by 7, I can complete by 6:15. So the choice is yours. Depending upon the time we go. So I have been given a topic of credit appraisal and audit. Once again, I have a clear announcement. The content is prepared for chartered accountant members who are in the banking side. Because I have been addressing a lot of members on bank audit literally. That is as far as branches in the month of March, I keep traveling across the southern region and in some places in western also, for only on bank branch audit. Now I shifted the program totally to suit to the members' requirement who are in employment. But it doesn't matter, the content is going to be the same. Why I gave this rider is, sir, in the money poetry can don't mind. That was the intention. Anyway, now the members are very less number, I can skip lot of slides. This is basically for giving us an introduction so that we are going to talk on credit. Credit means advances, literally. Because when I am in practice, when we are in practice, we talk credit means we talk about journal entry credit only. But when it is for bankers, they know that the credit means advances. So, one more introduction is required. So, credit management is very, very critical today. The reason is, as far as banks are concerned, credit management is very, very critical because there are lots of NPAs which are rising up, etc. Once it is properly managed, that is the only, as all of you know, bankers have money is the only raw material. That is the only WAP, that is only finished goods. So they have to manage it properly. If they manage it properly, they will be able to be comfortable to do it. So the credit management is very, very critical. We are going to talk on credit management only. These are the 4 types of loans. How many of you know banking literally? Please raise your hand so that we will know how much concentration I will have to go. Because have you touched on the bank audit? Have you touched the bank branches? Do you have any idea? Either during your apprenticeship or during your employment. So if you know that, I can skip a lot of things in a faster manner. So these are the 4 types of loans which every million: demand loan, term loan, CC, OD, bills purchase. These are the only 4 items which can happen. Whenever a loan is given for a specific term, period, 3 months, 3 years, 6 years, 10 years, 25 years, long-term infrastructure products, that is called as term loan. Whenever you don't have a term, it is called as demand loan. The demand loan are 2 items, one is CC, another is overdraft. Both are called as demand loan only. The last one is bills purchase discounted. I am not going into the inland or export. I am talking about bills purchase and discounted only. Because this is a fundamental base on which we are going to do. So once again, these facilities are given into different. One is fund based, another is non-fund based. All the 4 items which I have told in the earlier slide, term loan, CC account, bills, all are fund based. Same bills, if it is going to be given by way of a backup or by way of an LC, that becomes non-fund based. So whenever a bank is going to give you money, it is fund based. They are going to give you a support by way of a guarantee or LC, then it becomes non-fund based. Next is on base of inland and outward. So whenever both in inland cases and export cases, we have foreign exchange impact, which is going to handle it. Secured, unsecured. Once again, why this is relevant is, if it is a secured advance, the intensity of audit, verification, appraisal, everything will be slightly lower. When it is totally unsecured, the entire risk is going up. Whether secured, there is no risk at all, that is not the issue. There is only an element of risk reduction and higher. That is why what happens is, whenever you go for a loan in respect of secured loans, my audit, appraisal mechanism, everything is slightly relaxed. Because people feel that there is an element of risk which is being reduced. Same way, the interest rates are also being charged at a lower rate whenever it is a secured loan, and when it is an unsecured loan, the interest rate goes up. The reason is basically it is risk versus controls. That is the intention by which it is being done. And the last one is on priority and non-priority sector. There is nothing great about this. So, what are the stages in credit management? Let's jump into the well directly. These are the 5 stages in respect of credit management as I see and as everyone can see also. There are only 5 stages as far as credit management is concerned. Starts with pre-disbursement appraisal, because a person is coming and asking for a loan, that is the starting point of the risk the bank is going to take by way of giving its raw material out. That is the starting point of the risk. And from that, you will have to go for after appraisal, there is going to be a sanction. After the sanction is given, there is going to be a disbursement. And of course, in between there is a documentation and then disbursement. And once disbursement is done, then it is going to be review and monitoring and supervision. After that, finally, we are going to have renewal and enhancement in case of CC accounts only, because in terms generally in case of term loans there will not be renewal, enhancement, etc. In case of CC account there will be renewals and enhancements. Last is asset classification. This is the final stage of it, because once you have an asset by way of good asset, it will become standard, and if it is bad asset, it can become substandard, doubtful, and loss. Basically, that is the asset classification, and that is the last of the area as far as credit management is concerned. So we are going to talk about all these items in a detailed manner so that we will be able to have an understanding. I am 100% sure that all of you have a first-hand information. If you totally feel something is new, please tell me, otherwise I will keep flowing with it. Once again, as I told you, I am rider is there. In all these things, I am going to focus on members in industry. Now, members in practice are also there. I have to combine both items. Basically, whenever a previous person appraisal happens, what happens is, whenever a person is in requirement of a tax, he comes and approaches a bank. So when he comes and approaches a bank, an appraiser is required. When an appraiser means, whenever a person is asking for example, let us understand for a moment, I have to be called for this meeting. There is an appraisal mechanism which happens in the institute also, whether he is worth call for this particular meeting or not, whether he is reasonably aware of the information, whether he can disseminate some information. These are only sharing thought process. Same way, whenever a person is asking for money, you have to appraise. I always, all of us are Tamil. All of us are Tamil. Sir, is there any other not Tamil? Just go away. Cash flow is all very good. I always give this example as far as credit appraisal is concerned. The best appraisers are financiers, local financiers, which are available in respect of, in normal say, I am talking about RREs. The reason is, they have the best appraisal mechanism. I will tell you a classic example. When you come and ask for an amount of 50,000 rupees as advance, normal shopkeeper, I am talking about pawnbroker, normal financiers. அவன் 50,000 ரூபாய் கேட்டானா 50,000 ரூபாய் அவனுக்கு கொடுக்கும் போது என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா 5,000 ரூபாய் குடிச்சிட்டு 5,000 சேர்த்து வாங்கிப்பான். அதான் அவங்களோட மெக்கானிசம். பாயிண்ட் எப்படின்னா, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் he is realizing his income, which is the 5,000 interest portion. Balance இருக்கிற 45 க்கு பதிலா he is going to take 50,000 rupees from him by way of 10 installments of 5,000 rupees. அதை அவன் தர முடியுமா முடியாதான்னு பார்க்கறதுக்கு அவன் சொல்லுவான், நீ லோன் அப்ளை பண்ணுறது சார் எப்போ வந்து வாங்கிட்டு இருந்தான், நீங்க வந்து வாங்க வேண்டாம், நான் மார்க்ஸ் வந்து கொடுக்குறேன். The reason is, it is not that he wants to come and give you door delivery கோசம் வரல. He will come to your office, sit in your office, wait for half an hour or 1 hour, ஒரு காஃபி ஷோல்டு, ஒரு டீ ஷோல்டு எல்லாம் பண்ணிட்டு இருப்பான். Because he keeps monitoring and appraising whether sufficient people are coming and going out. Is there a business which is happening properly or not? Otherwise, I will not be interested in funding. அதெல்லாம் பார்த்துட்டு ஒரு செக்கப் கொடுத்துட்டு உங்க செக்கை வாங்கிட்டு போயிடும். எதுக்கு இதை சொல்றேன்னா, that is the best way of an appraiser. So when you are a banker, how do you appraise? Now you are an auditor, how do you live with the appraisal? This is the point which I want to talk about this. So the appraisal happens, the first starting point is application from the borrower. So as a borrower, I come and ask you for a loan. I am saying that I want to buy a car. So I want to buy a car, I am coming and applying for a loan with your bank. As a banker, I come and ask for you. You have to appraise me whether I am worth to buy a car of Maruti or Hyundai or Tata, higher in Tata or Benz or the best of the vehicles, Mercedes, whatever it is. Whether I am worth or not, for that my application will talk. So in the application I am going to talk about all my capacities. What are the capacities? My earning, basically my qualification. On the basis of that, my earning capacity. The earning capacity is going to depend on what is the income which I am making now. If I am an employment, I am going to have a salary certificate. If If I am in business, I am going to have a balance sheet. If I am going to be in a professional activity, I will have my bank balance, bank statements, etc. So all these things has to be filled up in an application in such a manner, and then I will have to go for KYC compliance. The KYC, know your customer compliance, is becoming a menace across, because without knowing the customer, if they start doing the funding, all problems will start. So that's why the KYC has become an annual feature nowadays. And then, when I give an application, the application I am going to give all the information about this. That, as an appraiser, as a banker, they have to appraise whether he is really worth for giving it or not. For example, one doctor, or MBBS doctor, I want to establish a full laboratory. Cath lab I want to do it. So I whether an MBBS doctor, he will be funding him or not. Normally I will not. Because if it is a specialist in cardiologist, I will be willing to go for cath lab. Otherwise I will not be willing to cath lab. Because cath lab is same way go to the case of a car mechanic. Go to the car industry. What is the dealership which is going to have? If you have a dealership of a larger car, your limit will be higher. If it is a smaller car, your limit will be lower. And apart from all these things, what is the projection which I am making? In the version I will turn over அடுத்த வருஷம் நான் வந்து 3 கோடி ரூபாய் பண்ணுவேன், அதுக்கு அடுத்த வருஷம் 5 கோடி ரூபாய் பண்ணுவேன், நான் சொல்ல முடியும். These are projections possible. But when I am saying that I am doing a turnover for 1 crore today, can I straight away jump and say that next year my turnover will be 10 crore? Not possible. I can say as a borrower, but as a banker, when you appraise, when you verify, you have to just ask him to justify. இன்னைக்கு ரூபா பண்ற, நாளைக்கு 10 ரூபா பண்ணுவேன்னா எப்படி பண்ணுவேன்? If it is a manufacturing company, for a moment let us understand, a company which is doing a trading activity in respect of some product, let us say fisheries, they are doing trading activity. Now they are going to say that from 1 crore turnover I am going to make it as 10 crores. Then in that situation you will have to ask them very clearly how you propose to increase. Then they will say that I am going to do our own processing itself, the fisheries processing. In that situation, where do you want to process? Have you established a factory? Have you got a unit for your own self? Whether you will be able to establish freezer plants, etc. Fisheries now obviously frozen plants. Examine go to the manufacturing sector the same day. From trading you are going into manufacturing. Whether you have the wherewithal to do a manufacturing. What is the capacity which you are having? You are not even an engineer. How will you know? Sir, I will recruit sir. Whether in that situation the risk is more, because I am going to depend totally on a third party. Once I am going to depend on a third party, my business prospects will come down to 3, will not go up. Whereas I am a person who is having already a specialty. I was all along doing a trading because I did not have sufficient funding. I have expanded by doing a service industry over a period of time. Now I can go for a manufacturing. Same we take the case of maintenance of computers. I am having maintenance of computers. I am going to slightly expand it to larger size by way of assembling of computers. Then I can go for manufacturing of computers. I can go for chips, etc. So all these things are possible and will be found out in all these cases. The first 4 items will be found out. So whenever the appraisal happens, application data information verify, examine the appraisal. The last 4 items are very important because once a borrower comes, the borrower has a past dealings in it. If it is going to be a new customer for me, I will have to examine whether he is worth it. He is having a past dealing with some other bankers. This is the past dealings part. Total Putusa entrepreneur, he would not have handled with any other bankers. So in that situation, that will not come. So existing business people, you will have to ask for the past dealings of the earlier bankers. The last 2 items are very, very important because everything is going to be spoken only in the financial statement which you are going to give. If you don't have a proper financial statement, you will not be able to give a funding at all. Because whatever you say, unless it is reflected in the financial statements, it is not justifiable. Financial statement is very P&L balance sheet. You will have to combine along with the your GST returns. You will have to show the income tax return because you show a turnover of 1 crore, but it is not reflected in your GST returns or income tax returns, which means it is not really reasonable or realizable at all. So please ensure that whenever an appraisal happens, please go through these areas verification properly. Credit reports, particularly in respect of takeover cases. Say whenever a loan already is having a borrower in IndusInd Bank, now Karur Bank is going to hit upon that particular borrower. So you have to insist on an opinion from the IndusInd Bank because the earlier banker, how he has managed with the borrower or did he have any risk, etc. That will be available in the credit report. In the credit report, funding cannot happen. So appraisal stage itself will be verified. What is the appraiser's problem? Whether the projections are realistic, that's what I say from 1 crore, 10 crore, repayment capacity confirmation. As I told you, MBBS doctor with the income capacity, he may be able to charge 200 rupees or 150 rupees per patient. And the cardiologist, his average fees is around 600 to 700 rupees. Dentist, 250 to 300 rupees. So, depending upon the doctor, why I am picking up a doctor is it's easier for all of us to understand because all of us have been handling or visiting doctors. Same way, if you go to a high-end dealers for that matter, in the car in the level, and the car on the level. So, how is it going to happen in those areas? Take the case of service industry, computer maintenance industry, or virus software industry, what is the range at which you are going to? Whether you will be able to repay. For example, I am going to give her an amount of 10 lakhs today. I want to ensure whether they will be able to pay this 10 lakhs in 5 years period of time, which means 2 lakhs per annum plus interest, whether they have the capacity to do that. And the repayment capacity appraisal is failed. That's what happens in most of the cases. Take the case of it's the published data, that's why I am telling you. Take the case of Byju's. Bank funding is any investors for that matter. What was the concept on which Byju was appraised? Byju was appraised that they will be doing this sort of correct. He came at the time of COVID full classes was electronic classes. So they were able to sustain and maintain. But other basis which they were projecting, they are going to have an X amount of turnover in the next 5 years. What happens post-COVID? Regular classes people have started coming. Madam was talking about the same thing before the classes were starting. We will be comfortable with this electronic, virtual program. All of us will be able, more people will be able to attend. But unless it is physical meeting, I will not be able to assess and examine whether you are hearing or not, whether you are understanding or not. Only when I see a nod on your head, I understand something is being delivered. Otherwise, it will not be possible. This is a problem from the speaker's end. But why I am telling about this is, Byju's have been successful over period. He built the graph. But the business activity, the graph will be arranged. On the level he kept on valuation or valuation game. Valuation game. Investors will not keep quiet after some time. They will ask for the return of money or maybe a return of profits at least. And the profit coming goes wrong, he has to do something. Always it's going to be a chain of people. It's going to be a problem. So, in the repayment capacity, the Byju's repayment capacity is a capital. Capital is also a borrower only. Capital is also a borrower. The only thing is there is no commitment from the person to make the payment. But it's also a borrower because that's why we also show it in the liability of the balance sheet. Liability side of the balance sheet. It's now payable to investors. So investors now pay for our both, they may be able to make the payment and confirm. Adequacy of security. Once again, as far as the banker is concerned, once again, I will jump over from Byju's to any other term. Loan the security is there a security which is subject to cover the loan? Because if the loan is there to the extent of 1 crore, I should have a security at least to the extent of 1.5 crores if it is going to be liquid assets, and if it is going to be solid assets, that is 2 crores on the loan. There will be always a fluctuation in value in respect of the properties. So when there is a fluctuation, negative fluctuation also, I should not be suffering. Take the case of gold loan. Gold loan is being given at a fixed rate of per gram. It was always on the high. If the peak level market goes down, what will happen in case the money is not able to be recovered? Even if you put the auction to gold for auction, you will not be able to recover in certain places. So the security has to be reasonably having a coverage. So there is sufficient security is there. Physical verification of assets mortgage. I am not once again, I will have to make it very clear, this is for the bankers. So when a banker goes and gives a loan, they have to physically visit the asset. The asset அங்கே இருக்கான்னு போய் பார்க்கணும். பார்க்காம கொடுத்தாங்கன்னா கண்டிப்பாக it's going to be a problem. இப்போ ஏதோ ஒரு டாக்குமெண்ட்டை கொடுக்குறான், அந்த டாக்குமெண்ட்டை வச்சு ஒரு வேல்யூவை வச்சு வெரிஃபை பண்ணுறான், ஒரு லீகல் ஒப்பீனியன் கொடுத்துட்றான். நார்மலாக என்ன தான் நடக்கிறது? They give a value report, they give a legal opinion, they give a balance sheet duly signed by a chartered accountant or an auditor as the case may be. All these things are reflected there, அது வச்சு லோன் கொடுத்துட்றாங்க. Problem on problem, they come and say that we have depended on all these documents only, then what is the problem? We have completed, the bankers will wash off their hands. Ultimately, we professionals are getting caught with that particular thing. So, in that scenario, the physical verification of assets has to be done by the respective appraiser, then only it will be comfortable. Title of the assets, once again, lawyer gives an opinion, but the title, whether it is there or not, whether the owner is having the title or not. I know case which I have done an audit in 1991-92. There was a huge unit which has been given as a huge loan was given to a small unit, but the unit was utilizing the entire outside factories for processing of their products. So, our own production processing is very good. This all collectors from 3 crores, it went up to 18 crores in 3 years. At that time itself, I had reservations, we have given a report, etc. After 10-12 years, it has gone to 300 crores and it became a fraud. I don't want to name the company, it is a fraud and they have already defaulted. So, the 3 crores is correct, the 300 crores are there. So, appraisal is the problem. That is the starting point of an issue. Appraiser is it will keep on moving up only. Ratio analysis is very, very important because the ratio correct it will give an indication. Last year, year before, and current year, and next year position. There cannot be a current ratio which is always around 1.6 and suddenly it cannot go to 4.5. If you see the balance sheet from 1.6, suddenly it is jumping to 4.5. Definitely, gap stock overstated or data overstated. Another liability is understated. Only one of these places they should have kept it. So we will have to examine whether these ratios are properly analyzed or not. Same means you go for a term loan, debt service ratio. Whether the debt and service, debt and the equity is able to service with each other. Panalana presence of problem. Before going to this, in the earlier 2 slides, is there any issue? Because now I am going to talk on an item which is not relevant for industry, even chairman members going forward. But these are questions which are being asked by the bankers, which is not required. Is there any question on the earlier 2 slides?
On the slide, network statement. In the case
network illama endha loanume tharadilla sir. See, no loan is given without taking the net worth of the borrower. Because that is not going to be given by particularly in case of a partnership from proprietors and small private limited company, they are dependent on the net worth of the promoter only. So they take the net worth of the borrower or borrower's companies, etc. Once a company goes beyond a level, no net worth is not being asked for because nobody can go and ask Mukesh Ambani, show me your net worth so that I will give money to Reliance. That is not the case. So, up to the level of private limited company, which is all closely held to public limited company, net worth of the borrower is definitely asked. So, once the net worth is asked, net worth gives lot of information. And the information and the security valuation, what it is, that is not going to be part of the balance sheet because it's individual net worth of the borrower or partner. It's not going to be part of the balance sheet. But depending upon the net worth, the repayment capacity in India, company will have a repayment capacity. But in case company fails, who is going to support that? The promoter is going to support it. In that situation, promoter's net worth is required. So net worth is required in respect of all small borrowers, medium level borrowers, and up to a level of public limited company which is closely held. Beyond that, cannot happen. Adapro invariably security security is there only up to that particular level. After that, it is only corporate guarantees. See, one corporate will give a guarantee to another corporate. Another corporate guarantee will give to another corporate guarantee. That is the level. Once it goes up, other than that, 50 crores in above portion, bubble வெடிக்குதோ அன்னைக்கு தான் bubble வெடிக்காத வரைக்கும் அது ஓடிட்டே இருக்கும். இந்த after in fact அதே மாதிரி பார்த்தீங்கன்னா the default also happens maximum in less of that loans only. இந்த கீழே இருக்கிற லோன் வந்து default is going to happen very very less because இன்னும் அந்த lower less than 50% இருந்தால் மனசுக்குள்ள கொஞ்சம் பயம் உண்டு. அதனால அவங்களாம் அந்த எப்படியாவது பணத்தை கட்டிடுவாங்க. இல்லைனாலும் செக்யூரிட்டி இருக்கும். அதுக்கு மேலே இருக்கிறது தான் இருக்காது. அதுக்கோசம் 50 crores இருக்கிறது டிஃபால்ட்டே எஸ் அந்த டிஃபால்ட் இருக்கும். பட் பேங்க் will be able to cover it. அதை அங்கேயும் why they are not covering up in certain places, what's happened is the bankers are not periodically monitoring, which will come in the subsequent slides. So, what should not happen? What should not be done? What not to do or what not ask in appraisal? When you do an appraisal, all information are on there. We have a banker here. Although he is a specialist in forex, but he will definitely subscribe to this particular point of view. They are asking questions which are irrelevant. When I am asking, going to give a loan for this particular gentleman with a chart loan has set up a practice recently, I should not come and ask him. He will give a CS certificate. But I should not ask for what is your father's degree. Not required. Same way you are, three of you are joining a private limited company and are starting a consulting firm. And after that you add him, fourth person. Why his name is not available in the memorandum articles cannot happen. As a chartered one we know, when the memorandum articles is drafted, it is started with the first promoters. Whenever subsequently people are being added, it will be only by way of a resolution and another form which has been filed with the ROC. Unfortunately, there are lots of questions which is coming from the bankers why his name is not available in the bank memorandum articles. Same way, take the case of a partnership deal. Once the partnership deed is being drafted, every time everybody is added, partnership deed keep on adding. Same thing they are asking in case of a trust, which is not possible. Trust deed will not be amended for adding the trustees. As a banker, they are coming and asking why trustee deed has not been amended for including the trustee. It is not possible. Why it is not possible? I am just stretching beyond a banking requirement. A trust, when it is registered, 1,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees or corpus put, they will do the registration. After that, they keep on contributing and assets keep on increasing. And every time you go for a registration of any document as far as trust is concerned, on that day, what is asset value, they have to pay 1% of the asset value as the stamp duty. So, I go for an amendment in respect of trustee, I will have to pay what is the asset value as on that day. It is impossible for a trust, take the case of Ramachandra Medical College and Trust. Ramachandra Medical College and Trust, which was started some 40 years before, it was started with the 10,001 corpus. Now, what is the value? Thousands of crores. If you have to go on and go for a registration, I will have to pay 1% of the amount as stamp duty. It's impossible. So, what I should go for an amendment? I should go for an amendment only in respect of where an amendment is required. For example, I am going to change the policy itself. That is, I am having a medical college now. I am going to start a totally different activity for which an amendment is required. That I go for an amendment, not for adding the trustee. But unfortunately, there are lots of bankers who are asking for this. And why you are not having the trustee? We give the balance sheet. All of you know what is UDIN. Nowadays, UDIN has to be created whenever I am certifying the financial statements. Can I know from the crowd to what we are attributing UDIN? UDIN is given for what?
For our certification.
No, certification. That is for in the financial statements and audit, company's audit report. UDIN is fixed on what? Auditor's report. But bankers are asking why UDIN is not filled in the financial statements, which is not required. Because UDIN is given only for the audit report, not for the financial statement. Because audit report is my proprietary document. I can create a UDIN. But notes and accounts and financial statements are signed by all the people, including the directors. UDIN is not relevant there. But unfortunately, bankers are asking why UDIN is not fixed, which is not required. Same way, UDIN, bankers are saying that UDIN, they are asking the client itself to verify the UDIN and give the report. How much time it will take for doing a falsification? They are also saying that they are sending the financial statements and saying that, sir, you have signed the financial statement and given the UDIN, kindly confirm that these statements are signed by you. They are asking for a certificate. It is meaningless. Instead of asking these items, if they concentrate more on the appraisal in a proper manner, appraisal will be better. That is the reason why this slide is there. And moreover, the last two items are very, very important. Last two items are very, very important. Whenever a valuation report is being given, by the valuer. This is a classic case where one of our members were hanged. Hanged is not in the court of law, it is in the board of discipline. An asset was purchased in Andhra somewhere in 2012 or 13. Within 2 years, they went for a loan. Property was purchased for few lakhs. Within 2 years, he gave a valuation report to running to tens of crores. And they gave a loan also. See, when you give a loan, they are only dependent that asset security is there, valuation report is there, blindly following the valuation is there, I am giving 60% of the amount as loan without any other appraisals. The auditors have also, the net worth certificate was also signed by the auditor. Net worth statement, you are asking about the net worth statement. This net worth certificate was signed by an auditor. Auditor was hanged in the disciplinary committee. They are asking, how did you report a valuation of net worth when the asset was purchased only for 16 lakhs few years back and now it is shown as 18 crores within 2 years? How is it possible? He said that I depended on the valuation report given by a bank's authorized valuer. Do you understand what you want? Don't you think that you will have to apply your mind? I don't have to, literally, because we have an essay which says that we can depend on other experts' opinion that is there. But at the same time, I should have a reasonable coherence to ascertain that the valuation is right or not. Whether the auditors have to do it or not, as far as the bankers are concerned, they are supposed to. Just don't blindly take the valuation report and do it, which is not right. They have to examine it. Otherwise, it is going to have a problem. Same way, projections. Auditors give a projection. Projection, we have a SAE 3400. I hope all of you know. Projection, you can certify. There was a situation in one of the cases in the code of conduct. Disciplinary member was telling, how can you certify the projection? Projections cannot be certified by a chartered account. No. Projections can be certified by a chartered account, provided you give all your assumptions in the financial statement. So whenever you are saying that, you will have to say, you are not supposed to say the financials are true value. That's all. You have to prepare the projection as per say 3400, make all these assumptions, list out and say that on the basis of the projection I can certify. But as far as banker is concerned, he cannot just like that give a loan. I have given him, which is wrong. Because he is supposed to have an independent appraiser. Because expert is there for doing this computation, but at the same time, whether the computation is reasonable or not, it is his responsibility. So the bankers cannot blindly follow. So as far as an auditor is concerned, when you are going for an audit, you can ask the manager openly saying that how do you apply this properly? He said that I am dependent on the auditor certificate, which is not right. So when I have to give a report for the bank, when you are the control writer, for a moment let us understand that somehow. Is there any control writer here? Which bank? City Union Bank, one advantage is everything is done only at head office. Nothing is done at the branch. Correct? Nothing is done at the branch. So the branches are only post offices. They receive the document, send it across. But the problem is the auditors have more responsibility for ensuring that the documents are properly maintained here. That is, they send the sanction letter is coming, but the implementation is done at the branch level. So sanction letter what he says is, this particular housing loan is sanctioned for an amount of 20 lakhs. First 5 lakhs can be issued today. The next 5 lakhs can be given only after 3 months, after verification by the local valuer to go and inspect the unit. The branch's responsibility is to ensure that after 3 months only the payment is being made, and after that the verification is done or not. If the verification is not done and the payment has been disbursed, the banker is in a problem and the controller is also in a problem. So, this is an item as far as audit is concerned. Don't take the projections blindly, you have to examine them. These are the essentials to be done by any appraiser for that matter. As far as we auditors are concerned, we have to examine whether the appraisal has been done or not. Verify the past financial statement, the tax returns. No projections are lying, no another problem. Unless it is shown is the tax return. GSTR you have to see. If you don't see the GSTR, it's not a problem, possibility. Same way in case of tax rate. 2 gross turnover comes in, but tax rate return by 4480 they will take the certification of the financial statements from the auditors. But auditor will say, chartered is what I'm saying. would not have been signed by a chartered accountant, it would have been signed by an auditor. I hope all of you know about auditors. Chartered accountants who are not yet qualified, they call themselves as auditors and they sign as auditor without any membership number. I saw financial statements has been signed by auditor. He has said this number, MNF number, membership number. When you become a student, you are given a number called MNF number. That number is, now it is SRO. Now it is SRO. At the time it is also MNF number. They have given that number. As far as banker is concerned, they want a seal, signature, and some number. What is the relevance? Nobody knows. Now we have urine, fortunately. In fact, people were protesting why this unfortunate urine is being created. Actually, it is a real saving grace for all of us champions. Nobody can do a urine in your name. What happens is there are lots of people who have been signing the balance sheet or net statement in the name of some other person independently. Now urine is there, you cannot do that. This is an important item which I would like to mention. Read in between lines of audit reports, legal opinions, valuation report, and due diligence. Appraisal it's not a proper appraisal. You have to read in between the lines. In the audit report, they would have given a qualification, or UOM, or a disclaimer. Nobody bothers. They just take the report and give it. Now, all of you know, in Karur, there is a straight information which we are giving. Whenever a quarterly information is being given, whether there is any variation between the books of accounts and what is being reported to the bankers. That's a Karur. Nobody bothers. Bankers are supposed to go on through the verification of the report, examine whether the Karur reporting is done and whether the deviations are there. The deviations are consistently there in all the 4 quarters. That itself is a very big sickness as far as bankers are concerned, as far as the advances are concerned. Insist on techno-viability report in respect of large advances. Once the advances go beyond, let it be a medical college, let it be an industry, let it be a bridge construction, let it be a highway construction, all these things, techno-viability report has to happen. If a techno-viability report is not there, the fund cannot be given. I'm talking about large advances. Any questions on pre-disbursement appraisal? Any questions? கொஞ்சம் இன்ட்ராக்ஷன் பண்ணனா கொஞ்சம் நல்லா போகும். 6:20 as I told you, I can go up to 7:30, 8 our patient can. How long can go?
There is a point like you can't blindly depend on the evaluation reports and so is that why this SA 600 is being amended now?
What is amended?
This SA 600 using the work of another.
SA 600 using work of another auditor.
Yeah.
So, let us not talk about 600 here, but I will provide SA on what you call technical expert's opinion. Technical expert opinion I can depend on, but at the same time, even in the case of gratuity evaluation itself,
Yeah.
I cannot blindly take it. See, for example, just for a moment, let us understand about gratuity evaluation. Then we can go to the bankers. When somebody is giving a gratuity of, actual evaluation, actually is an expert. See, his expertise can be utilized only for the purpose of discounting factor. I should not go beyond that. The number of employees in the company is 600. He is taking a gratuity actual report by stating only 550 people. It's not. I cannot go for that. Then he is saying attrition rate is 2%. But in this particular case, 2% attrition is not happening because people are consistently working for that. Then attrition rate is not incremental. They are taking a 4% increment. Whereas every year they are giving 6% increment, 7% increment. So in that situation, if the fundamental information on the basis of which this assumption is happening, you can test it. So you cannot just like that take the actual report and report it, which is not right. Same way you can take for anything impairment, take the case of impairment. All these cases you cannot just like that assume and go on the basis. The expert's opinion you can rely upon, provided the information which is taken in this by an expert is reasonably right. Take the case of valuation report for that matter. I am doing an audit of a particular bank, concurrent audit. Just understand we are going to a concurrent audit. They are giving a value, they are giving a loan on the basis of a property which is almost 80 years old, and they are giving a loan. once a building is going beyond 50 years itself, at any point of time it is demolishable because it is not work. So in that situation, you have to examine only the valuation report is not sufficient. Valuer's report should also have a report by somebody who is an expert on sustainability of the building. Whether the building is sustainable. If the building is not sustainable, today you can do a valuation. But what is the valuation? Valuation is only for the
Roughly 50.
I mentioned about 80-year-old building. More than 50 years itself, buildings are not tenable. I have to verify the sustainability. That is, when a valuation report happens, I have to ask for the sustainability report by a renowned architect, and that also I have to add. That is, he has to examine whether the building is in a proper shape or not, it is maintained. There are lots of buildings which are 120-year-old buildings also there is no doubt. But as far as banker is concerned, when I am going to do a valuation, and the valuation report you cannot blindly follow it up. You have to examine whether there is reasonable, whether there is.
Title we are taking legal opinion.
Is it?
Title. That you can do that.
Yeah. See, once again, as I told you, I have to read in between lines of the legal opinion. Everything is okay, Abdul Sultana, that's a different issue. But what happens is they are giving some catches in between. Reservation silent term, the confirmation balance is generally obtained, but not in specific case it is not there. And the money, he also gives some easy encumbrance certificate. Subject to obtention of encumbrance certificate in respect of the period from 1/1/2022 to 31/3/2022, he is having marketability. And the 3 months are market. So, if you see a legal opinion, you can blindly take it. Marketable title, he is having a marketable title. Subject to, and the line of title. Angada catch. He will protect his skin. Like what we protect our skin in case of an audit report and notes and accounts. He will also protect the skin. But I always tell to the auditors wherever I go for auditing standard classes, whenever we talk about this debtors and creditors, we always give the debtors and creditors are subject to confirmation of balances. We give I don't know how many of you give this report. The debtors and creditors are subject to confirmation of balance. If you are giving that note, that is the most dangerous note. Because the same company will be having IFC, internal financial control, IFC or internal financial control reporting will also be there. Once I say that confirmation balance is not obtained, the internal control is weak. Once I say that having qualified on internal financial control reporting, here I would not have qualified. So same way, in case of legal opinion, we have to ensure that the legal opinion is reasonably dependable. Read through the lines, then we can take it. It's not that we can
You are asking about the valuation report. In this case, he was explaining the valuation report is prepared by the bankers and also sent by the banker or the report available. Actually, the auditor is also giving a statement projection for availing a bank facility. While availing the bank facility, you are depending on the bank valuation report, which is wrong. So, the same person is the giver, and also he is going to give the loan, and you are depending on that valuation report. It should be another person.
Independent valuer.
Independent. And also, bankers are not the valuers, they are only bankers.
Independent valuer. Independent valuer report only. Independent valuer we can question. Independent valuer we can question. There is no. See, that's what I say. The auditors are expected to go beyond what is being given to them. Simple. Same way, the bankers are also expected to go beyond what is required, but they are not willing to. They are under pressure to do business. I have a classic example in a Indian bank. One particular person who was in the age of retirement age, he was posted as scale 2 and made to a particular branch, in a rural branch. He was not able to get any business at all. It was a rural branch. He was pressurized to increase the business. So he kept on going around in various places, etc. And he caught up with a particular educational institution. And the education institution of greatness and not, and he loan he took 2 lakhs is the limit, bank manager limit, because there is a call, a loan fund, loan available for priority per segment loan. 2 lakhs will be the law. So around 120 employees were there in the school. They gave loan to all the 100 people. Over the 2 lakhs loan. For A, B will be the guarantor. For B, C will be the guarantor. For C, D will be the guarantor. For D, A will be the guarantor. Another loan wangina, bank, the employer gave a certificate saying that I will be deducting month from the salary and paying down. Unfortunately, the loan wangina, 100 பேர் கிட்டத்தட்ட ஒரு 10 பேர் வந்து ரிட்டையர்மெண்ட் ஸ்டேஜ்ல இருக்காங்க. அடுத்த வருஷத்துல எப்படி பணம் வரும்? வராது. Within 1 year, this account became bad. When the appraisal happens, they have to appraise and examine whether the repayment capacity is going to be for that for the next 10 years. Like another classic example, very big borrowing, 3 crores in particular bank. They have given a housing loan. Normally we assume that housing loan appraisal will not go far, will not be falsified. In this case, there was no falsification, but appraisal was wrong. It was a general manager cadre person retiring from one of the largest organization. I don't want to name the organization because it's a secret professional person. He is going to retire in the next 2 years. The present salary of that guy is around 6 lakhs. He does not have any other loans. CPE is very clean because he was a very big man, so he has been giving loan, etc. But he has identified a property in heart of Chennai for a property size of 3.2 crores. He has been given loan for 2.6 crores. 2.6 crores to monthly EMI was somewhere around 2.75 lakhs or something. It was very much payable because his salary was around 6.5 lakhs. Today it is paid. After 2 years, how is it going to pay? In fact, that was a branch audited by me, in fact audited by my team. I went for one of the days for a review, very recent, 4 or 5 years back. So, this guy is going to retire. Immediately manager came with the solutions. No, sir, the loan has been given for on the basis of the strength of his son, who is also employed. Okay, have you made him as a co-borrower? No. Have you made him as a guarantor? No. Then where is the possibility? And this appraisal was wrong. Fortunately, he did not have any problem because that person is very, very junior. Sir, this is going to be a problem, sir. It has to be required to be. Sir, how can you report, sir? He is the general manager of such and such company, such and such people. Super banker. I cannot, you don't have an option because appraisal is wrong. Because next 2 years, once he retires, his pension is going to be 1.25 lakhs only. So, with the 1.25 lakhs, how will we be able to pay 2.4 lakhs, which is not possible, 2.7 lakhs. So, in that situation, of course, fortunately, before the audit was done, they are able to take a co-borrower signature from the son also, and property was registered in his name only, but co-borrower signature was done, everything was sorted out. Because there was no genuine bad intention. There was no genuine bad intention. But take the case where there is a genuine bad intention. This is good or become wrong. Why I am telling this is appraisal is very, very critical and crucial. If you don't do it at the first stage, it's going to be a problem. This is a very, very big name, the person. Unfortunately, nobody knew of this. Second portion is sanction. So, once again, this is also for the bankers. From our side, it may not be. He has to ensure whether it is within the delegated powers. And the next is, whenever there is a deviation, you should take an approval from the superior. Without taking an approval, they keep on funding. There is no problem. That is, once the documentation, once there is a sketch of documentation available, they have to ensure that the documentation sanction is done in a proper manner. Do not miss the restriction envisaged during the appraisal. During the appraisal, I would have envisaged. What I would have envisaged is, they are going to take the case of a building loan itself. They have applied for a factory construction loan to the extent of 5 crores. They have applied for pollution control. So the appraisal forms makes it very clear they are awaiting for the pollution control certification. So the first sanction itself has to say about the same thing, that the sanction will be given, but the disbursement will happen only after the pollution control certificate is received. If the pollution control board certificate is not received, you will not be able to start the unit at all at any point of time. Take the case of a dying unit, which is located at the side of a river. It will never be given. Same way, in case of a unit which is going to give a lot of smoke and it is available in the heart of the city, not possible. It will not give. So, whatever be the appraisal period, what I have given the remark, and the remark I have to capture in the sanction ticket. If the sanction ticket doesn't capture, the sanction ticket itself is invalid. And then you have to give the sanction ticket to the persons, take the signature from the authorized signatory of the particular lawyer. For example, Mr. A is the managing director who is authorized to take a loan. He is sufficient to take a managing director. When you go to the partnership, partnership deed normally says that loan will be borrowed by signature of all the partners together. Because partnership, no partner beating the other partner. So they will definitely insist that the other partner have to say. In that situation, the sanction ticket acceptance also has to be taken from all the partners. If they take only from one partner, the other partner will say, I don't have the information about the sanction. It can go wrong. So the documentation, very, very important area. After the sanction, you go to the documentation. Either this fair, actually everything will be fair. The darkened items are very, very important. Do not leave any space unfilled. Inspection audit, that would have seen it. Invariably, many documents will not be properly filled up. They will not fill up the date, they will not fill up the name of the borrower, father's name, the age. What will happen is, subsequently when you go to the court of law, they fill up. The ink changes between these two entries, the document is invalid. Unless and otherwise this MODT is properly done, this document itself, the basic fundamental document for the purpose of loan, if they say that this is not a document which you have signed at all, if you raise the question, it can go further at that point of time. That is why I say that at the time of loan sanction, all the data has to be filled up. This is one area. One more area which has cropped very recently within the last 2 years in banking system itself. RBI has made it very, very clear that in the loan sanction, you have to specifically mention when is the first date of installment and when is the last date of installment in the sanction ticket itself, and also in the documents. Previously, it is not like that. In the document, they will say the repayment will start from January 2022 or 30 installments from January 2022. Now, what they have made is January, February, March, all these items has to be filled up in the sanction ticket itself. After that particular date, they have said that any loans given after this date, this has to be part of it. If it is not part of it, the loan itself is not valid. So, when you do the documentation, you have to ensure that the documentation is properly done. Next is documentation manual. Every bank has a documentation manual. Please ensure that the document manual is verified and only a particular documentation happens. MODT. Whenever a property is taken as collateral security, memorandum of title deed is compulsory. Previously, in respect of collateral security, no document was being taken at all. It was only a document with stamp paper, there was no registration. Now, memorandum of deposit of title deed is happening. Then only the EC will happen. EC will be showing. Previously, let's take for right around 13, 14 years before, the executive registration was not there, particularly in Tamil Nadu. They brought in the concept of memorandum of title document because otherwise, mortgage means they will have to pay 4% stamp duty. Very stupidity, nobody was making the payment. They brought this memorandum of title document wherein they can pay only 25,000 rupees as charges and they can register. EC will happen. Unless and otherwise the EC shows the mortgage of the bank. So EC, encumbrance certificate. Encumbrance certificate. So whenever a property is being mortgaged, periodically you take an encumbrance certificate. The encumbrance certificate, the mortgage registered with the banker will show. Central Bank of India loan mortgage to Central Bank of India for the purpose of term loan, then the person who is going to buy it will automatically know. ஏன்னா இப்ப எல்லாமே வந்து ஒரிஜினல் டாக்குமெண்ட் தொலைஞ்சு போச்சுன்னா போலீஸ் கம்ப்ளைண்ட் கொடுத்துட்டு டூப்ளிகேட் காப்பி ஆஃப் டாக்குமெண்ட் போட்டு ஃபைல் வித்துடலாம். இன்கம் சர்டிஃபிகேட் வந்துச்சுன்னா இட்ஸ் நாட் பாசிபிள். ஸோ ப்ளீஸ் என்ஷூர் தட் MODT wherever it is stipulated has to be done. And last block, I am skipping small items. I have already sent the material to the institute. They will be circulating to you. You can go through literally. I am highlighting only the specific items. In respect of corporate loans, the charges has to be registered with ROC. என்ன டாக்குமெண்ட் பண்ணினீங்கனாலும் என்ன ரெஜிஸ்ட்ரேஷன் பண்ணினீங்கனாலும் if the document is the charge is not registered with ROC, in case of corporate borrowers, the bankers fall in line with unsecured creditors only. In case of a dissolution or insolvency, you rank on pari passu with unsecured loans, even though you have the first charge over the assets, because charge registration is done. Bankers, the ROC is very clear. You don't register the charges, you become an unsecured creditor. So the ROC charges has to be done. So whenever a documentation, whenever the bank loan investment of corporates are being done, you ensure that charges being registered. Disbursement, very very important. That is the fourth stage of the third stage of the loan. Disbursement. Disbursement has to happen only on conditions of all stipulations given by the sanctions being complied with. What can be the conditions? Anything can be a condition. For example, as I was telling you, only after the pollution control board certificate is given, money can be disbursed. Only on each and every stage of verification, the architect has evaluated and then only payment will be made. In case of plant and machinery items, on the basis of performance, 25% can be made. Once the machinery comes, the balance can be made. And also, once the machine is received also, 50% can be made. Only after installation is done, balance can be paid. Each and every time, margin money from the borrower has to be received and balance has to be paid. Invariably, the margin money I have paid now, certificate. So, the point is we have to ensure that stipulation of the sanction terms is being properly done. End use of funds has to be verified. In case of working capital facility, immediately you can ask, sir, you term loan payment has to be made to the builder directly, payment has to be made to the suppliers directly. But what will you do in case of working capital? In working capital, the CC limit or OD limit will be marked for the limit. 10 crores limits will be sanctioned. But until the drop, the money can be, what is the working capital given for? It is given for the purpose of either purchase of raw materials, payment of labor charges, payment of processing charges, payment of repairs and maintenance for the factory, etc. So, the bankers have to monitor. As auditors, we have to examine whether they are monitoring it properly. What happens is, they draw cash, left, right and center. Cash can be drawn. I don't say that cash cannot be drawn. I will take always, whenever I do a backward seminar, I talk about two critical situations. Take the case of a petrol book. Collections will be made only in cash. Payment will be made only by check. NEFT, directly to IOC or bar petrol. Payment. So, there will not be any cash payments at all, except for the weekly salaries. Whereas, collections will be done only in cash. Take the other example. That is, a person is purchasing farm produce. For example, kadala he does process and sells to produces oil and sells. He sells to the oil companies. In that situation, collections will be coming only in check, whereas payment will be made only in cash. Because farmers comes and sells the products. Both can happen. You cannot say that for this it has to be like this, for this it has to be like this. The only thing is we have to ensure whenever a cash drawing happens in respect of the CC account order account, whether it is reasonable in accordance with the operations of the particular branch. That's all. You cannot say that, put your foot down and say that no cash can be drawn. They can say that cash transactions has to be avoided totally, but we cannot say so. It is practically has to be examined. At the same time, when there is erratic cash drawings which is happening, we have to definitely say. Particularly in case of control audits, what happens is, control manual in a cash vouchers has to be verified. How much vouchers you will verify? On a day, some 600, 700 vouchers happen. For a month, it will be around 600 into 30, 6,000, 18,000 vouchers. Will you be able to see 18,000 vouchers? Not possible. So what they say is, they give a cushion. They also ask you to say how many days of vouchers you have verified and also the dates of vouchers which you have verified. That's the date the problem on the date, wherever there are suspicious transactions which is happening, we are supposed to verify. Even in respect of other cases. The test check on the sample, sampling SA300 is there. You have to follow SA300 properly. Whether the sampling is done properly or not, you have to see. So in those cases, we have to examine CC account whether there is a design of cash drawing periodically is there or not. From the design, you should be able to get suspicion and escalate it. A classic example, I always tell you the example because people will be able to understand faster. In Sundararajan, I was doing an audit of Karur bank quite some time back. Karur bank, Sundararajan bank, I was doing audit. அங்கே ஒரு பர்டிகுலர் அக்கௌண்ட் ஒரு மூணு அக்கௌண்ட் கண்டினியூஸா கேஷ் டெபாசிட்ஸ் அண்ட் ராயல்ஸ் were there. We did not know that there was a problem or not, but we had escalated the report in both in our concurrent report and also to the zone inspectorate. We have mentioned saying that in respect of these 2-3 new accounts, there are lots of cash. That is, whenever a new account is opened up, there should not be suspicious transactions. There is huge turnover should not happen. In case of current account also, I am not talking about CC account. I am not talking about term loan account. I am talking about current account. So in this case, it was like I gave a report for 3-4 months, and then it was over, and we came up. That was so many years back. After 3 years, I got a letter from CPE of Andhra Pradesh, the Unified Andhra, not no other Unified Andhra. They gave a notification. Do you have any observation in respect of this particular branch in respect of cash transactions for this particular period? I said, we don't have any major reporting except that there were cash drawings in respect of these few items we have given. Those 4 cases were brought under money laundering transaction as far as this particular state is concerned with the change in government. நான் தெரிஞ்சு பண்ணேனா தெரியாம பண்ணேனா இதுவரைக்கும் தெரியாது. We gave a report. But the point is, at that time there was a suspicion. Because honestly telling, I'm retrospectively think பண்ணேனா அது நம்ம எப்படி ரிப்போர்ட் பண்ணோம்னு எனக்கு தெரியாது. We have given a report. But the problem is, when you see the transactions, you will see a design. That is what we have a special line. Definitely telling my dear friends, please understand, auditors have a special line. When you see something, report a page, in the page, spelling mistake under you can examine yourself. Spelling mistake. That is what we are made up for. But only thing is that you focus and utilize it, you will not be having a problem. Payments in cash credits orders, monitor frequent cash drawings, this is what I have mentioned. And end-use offers certification is not sufficient. The term loans end-use offers. You take a certificate from the auditor that money has been utilized for the purpose for which it has been sanctioned. Certificate alone is not sufficient. As a bank manager, you are supposed to go and install. For example, in the rural area, AC you have to come and see whether 2 ACs have been installed or not. அதுக்கப்புறம் அதை கைட்டு போடுறாங்கன்றது அது வேற விஷயம். நீங்கள் வந்து பார்த்து அதை எக்ஸாமின் பண்ணி இன்ஸ்டால் go take a photograph and go document essay 230 அதேதான் backers go. They have a different documentation. What I say to the record, take the evidence has been installed and go. The next slides are on review monitoring supervision. Very important. This is the next important area where as auditors we also have to examine in a proper manner, particularly these people, concurrent auditors. Review monitoring supervision is very critical. Once again, I will talk about highlighting items only. Any transactions susceptible to fraudulent transaction to be monitored closely. What is the sort of susceptible transaction? Red flagging is there. There is one particular circular in Reserve Bank of India which talks about red flagging of transactions. One of the slides will also talk about that. All those things are susceptible to fraudulent transaction. Whenever a particular account has huge cash transactions, it is susceptible to fraud. Whenever a person who is a trading account or whatever it is, his turnover or assets, financial statement shows an amount of 10 crores. In his bank account, he have a turnover of credit summations. We call it as credit summations. Credit summations for the whole year is only 3 crores, whereas his turnover shows 10 crores. Definitely susceptible because he is having an account somewhere else. There are only 2 options. One is he is having an account somewhere else, there is one item. Second item is poor statement of turnover. He is artificially showing increased turnover like Satyam. Satyam, every year he has been consistent for 3 years, 4 years, 4th year he showed off his hands. I have been fudging the accounts. That will happen at some point of time, it will create a problem. Coffee day, same way as far as coffee day is concerned. So any frauds which has happened, please understand, it's only an escalation over a period of time. IRFs, they keep on increasing on particular stage. After one particular stage, they show off their hands. This is very important. Very important. Periodically, the financial statements has to be taken, verified, scrutinized. Taking the copy of the financial statement, putting in the table is not of any use as far as bankers are concerned. Same way as auditors are also concerned. If you are a concerned auditor, please ask for the financial statements. Read in between lines. Read in between lines. Just take the financial statement is not sufficient. In the financial statement, they will be having the stock figure. Take the particular quarter, last quarter's stock figure. Compare that. Today we have finalized a financial statement for a particular company today. Even though the audit report should have been signed on 30th of September, today we have finalized it. They have given a stock statement for 1.6 crores to the bankers. But actual stock figure, 1.34 crores. Client is coming and crying, sir, bank bank need up 24th of March. Because as far as we are concerned, the stock cannot be overstated. But fortunately, on 29th of March, they have done a sale. Then we said that the stock has been converted by way of a sale. It has gone to the debtors. So the debtors were able to be done. Why I am telling this is, when you see after the financial statements is verified, examine that with the debtors figure. Examine that with the creditors figure. And debtors keeping on increasing, not good sign. When more than less than 6 months, they are eligible for limit. Drawing power is concerned. In case of stock, 75% of the stock will be eligible for Roma, 66% as the case may be, depending upon the bankers. And as far as debts is concerned, 50% only eligible, and that also for debtors less than 6 months, less than 3 months. More than 3 months, many banks are not giving. So please ensure that the debtors are also properly scrutinized. And wherever the projection is given, that is a low amount, reach turnover has not reached in that situation, the CC limit has to be brought down. CC limit has to be brought down. Whether the branch is taking the stock, you don't examine. Modify the limits, wherever reduction. Once again, here many banks insist on book debts to be certified by the auditors. They give a certificate. Keep the certificate and keep it with you, not always. They also have to examine. Information every month they are coming and giving the stock statement, movement of stock program, movement of debtors program, movement of creditors program. And if you monitor but it's going to be a problem. The auditor certificate is not sufficient. Any certificate for the matter, banker cannot certificate, just like that. From the auditor side also, we can also just like that certificate. Jewelry loans, jewelry cases are done. They have been giving a stock audit report continuously without verifying the stock is not belonging to them at all. Stock on all the stock were consignment stock. There was no purchase invoices in them. What happens is, they bring the gold, put it for sale. Once the sale is done, then they put the purchase invoice. Which means none of the stock available at the particular unit is not belonging to them. Model itself is like that. Model itself is like that. It is a Whirlpool or counter portfolio. And the counter, the properties, that particular portion is given to Whirlpool for rent, effectively. They can come and display the products. Once it is being sold, they raise an invoice, they also raise an invoice. So in that situation, the stock is not belonging to me at all. So if you are going to give a stock audit report as an auditor, or you are going to rely on the banker's stock audit report as a concurrent auditor, or the banker is going to rely on the stock audit report which is giving a wrong figure, which is not belonging to them at all, it's going to be a problem. So certification is not sufficient. We have to ensure that beyond that what is available to be examined. This HARO I have already mentioned. Revise Schedule 3 also is very, very important. Lots of, in fact, I am seeing a lot of financial statement which is given in Schedule 6 itself. Schedule 6 has been revised to revise Schedule 3. Schedule 3 has once again been revised. But still, people are not reporting it. It has to be examined. Please ensure that all these things are being done. Stock is not obsolete. The whole stock is continuously being shown by way of cycling. It's going to be a problem. Stock statement. Figure A, statement, stock statement. Why they are taking that same stock statement or keeping it there? If the stock figure is not filled up in the system, it will start levying overdue charges. For that sake, they have a standard stock statement, put a seal and put it in. As far as banker is concerned, but as far as auditors are concerned, you have to examine. And when once you are in the banker side, please examine the stock statement. Some comparison is going to be there or not. Skipping this. This is the indicators of red flag. There is one circular which has been given, I don't remember, it's 2016 or something like that. Red flag accounts. If you go to the RFA, These are all the situations which will always happen in case of CCA accounts. If any of these items are there, it is a red flaggable accounts. So we have to examine in a decent manner as far as auditors are concerned. As far as bankers are concerned, if any of these items are there, the account has to be monitored properly. You can slip it in here. There are 2 slides on this, you can go through that. So whenever renewal or enhancement, that is after that, in case of CCA account, there will be renewal enhancement. At the time of renewal enhancement, first of all, the bankers have to be very clear, it has to be timely renewal. 1 year, the normal loan is being given. After 1 year, it has to be renewed. 3 months additional time they can take. Maximum they can take 6 months. After that, they cannot take. Before that, they have to do the renewal. So ensure that the timely renewal happens. In respect of corporate borrowers, once again, whenever renewal or enhancement happens, we have to ensure that Form 8 is filed once again. Because charge has to be created once again. It is no more like earlier situations. That earlier at the time 10 lakhs would have been given as loan. Now it has been 12 lakhs. Or even the interest rate could have been changed. Any modification has to be registered with the ROC. If it is not registered, it will be going for a toss. Obtain annual confirmation duly filled up. This is what loan கொடுக்கும்போது ஒரு 3 நாள் AOD they call it as acknowledgement of it. They take 3-4 documents and take straight case and keep it. No purpose. No purpose at all. Because once you go to the court of law, once it is verified for foreign security, they will say that the signature is not current. They see that the ink is settled for examination and they will throw it off. The acknowledgement of it is of no use. I have been telling about the same thing to the bankers also, but they are not willing to agree. They are willing to agree only when they have found it in a problem. At least a couple of cases which I have examined that it has gone for forensic scenes and they said that it's going for 6. Only thing is what happens is people are slightly complacent because as long as the problem doesn't happen, they start running. Once a problem happens, at that time we will be in a suit. SME 012, classification has to be done through the system. Nowadays, nothing can be done manually. So the system has to be properly maintained. If they go and modify the computer system, it can go for 6. Claims, whenever they are required to, the interest of pension, etc., they have to claim it in a periodical manner. Non-fund based limits, once again, LC and bank guarantee is as good as fund based because anytime it can go as fund based advances. Today they are giving only as a guarantee. If you don't perform, so what happens is they take a 25% margin or 10% margin as the case may be. In certain corporates, they take only 5% as margin on deposit. 95% risk is there. Potential risk is 95%. They give a guarantee for performance of a particular bridge and a bridge collapses. What's going to happen? It is immediately going to become a fund-based advances. So non-fund based are as important as fund-based advances. People are not understanding that. So whenever but why they are not interested is invariably it doesn't happen. The percent risk is very low because only 1 out of 100 cases can go as a risk. But the problem is sanction and documentation has to be done along with fund-based limits. When they give a fund-based limit, along with that the sanction has to happen. Yeah. See, non-fund based, what is the monitoring which can happen? See, whenever a bill discounting happens or whenever LC facilities are being done, the LC will also be discounted and money will be coming through the third party. That is, whenever an import LC is being created, I have to make the payment to the foreign, LC will be crystallized. The payment has to go through from my account. Same way, in case I am going to discounting the bills or bills are sent for collection, money has to come from abroad. That is, that bills they should not adjust it from the local credits. So that itself is a risk. Now what is the risk? Actually speaking, they are only doing accommodation bills. For completing the accommodation bills, they are collecting the money from locally and they are sitting down. As long as the account is not having an effect, there will not be any problem, but it's going to be a serious issue by way of long-term arrangements. Special points for take-home. I have exceeded by half an hour, but I did not have an option because the session itself was started by 40 only. All the borrowed accounts has to be monitored properly, regularly. All the audit reports, including inspection reports, are to be taken seriously. This is for the bankers. When you go for an audit of banks or concurrent, that also has to be. All the inspection reports have to be taken very, very seriously and has to be rectified. Report on you will which is the price limited. Whether the rectification happens or not, because whenever a report, inspection report is very, very meticulous. If you go to the inspection reports of any particular branch, it is very, very meticulous. Even the smallest of the errors, they will keep reporting. And the number விட்டுட்டோம்னா we have to cast it. Moratorium cases have to be appropriately determined. Whenever a moratorium happens, let it be a housing loan, let it be an infrastructure loan, let it be a long-term loan, moratorium is given. Moratorium is given for a period of 6 months, 18 months maximum. Beyond that, moratorium is not given. But wherever moratorium is given for long-term funding advances, for example, bridges, highways, toll plazas, etc., they give a longer moratorium period. But problem is the moratorium period is not properly entered into the system. Please ensure that the entry into the system is properly done. Then only you will be able to identify exactly recovery in the proper manner or not. In case of education loans, moratorium, long-term moratorium, for example, medical college education loans, they will give a moratorium period for interest for 4 years. After that, interest will be paid, the principal for another 3 years. Whenever moratorium happens, please ensure that the documentation entries is being properly done or not. Stock audit, in case of large advances, stock audit has to be done. Stock audit, you can blindly take only the report and leave it like that. You have to examine that. Take the case of, if you write in Tina or Brazil merchants were there, we went off. Canara Bank was under. What has happened is, they have been having stock audit regularly. But whenever, ஒரே பில்டிங்ல இந்த பக்கம் ஒரு ஃபார்ம் இருக்கும், அந்த பக்கம் ஒரு ஃபார்ம் இருக்கும். ஒரே ஸ்டாக்ல ரெண்டு ஃபார்ம் காமிச்சிருவாங்க. Because they are two different bankers. When they come for verification, அப்படி பார்த்துப்போம். இங்க 30 ஷேர் இருக்குதா? ஓகே. இந்த பக்கம் ஒரு பேங்க், அந்த பக்கம் ஒரு பேங்க். Problem is the entire stock is sponsorship. Problem is stock audit பண்றவங்க அதை கரெக்டா வெரிஃபை பண்றது இல்ல, மானிட்டர் பண்றவங்க பண்றது இல்ல, பேங்கர்ஸ் அதை சரியா பண்றது இல்ல. எதனாலனா they have their own vested interest at that point of time. So it goes like this. But only thing is we have to ensure the audit is properly done with the proper documentation and the examination is being done. Collateral securities. Whenever a collateral security is given, it has to be physically verified. Problem is that collateral security கொடுத்தாங்கன்னா அந்த கொடுத்துட்டானே ஹாப்பியா இருக்கும். Particularly in the today's level of expansion of cities, today you see a building which has been given as collateral security. After 3 years, if you go, that road widening, the building can't be. The owner வந்து எவனாவது நம்ம collateral, அவன் வந்து you have received the money, you have received the money from Highways Authority, fully exempted under capital gains, ஜாலியா enjoy பண்ணிட்டு property போயிட்டு நீங்க போகும்போது தான் collateral security இருக்காது. People have to be appraised of all the collateral security which has been given, whether it is still there. There is a, in fact, Charman was ended up in a fraud in Jaipur. NHAI வந்து acquire பண்ணிட்டாங்க. Auditor was involved and he has taken the money and circulated to various people. I should also take it to hospital because he has introduced a couple of people. That is impersonation. Impersonation put from the point. So whenever collateral security, so just don't presume that once an account is a secured loan, it is 100% safe. No. There are also the same dangers will be there. Finally, monitoring is more vital than initial selection. At the time, when I said that at the time of pre-disbursement appraisal, very, very important. But monitoring is more important than the preliminary selection. Thank you very much for having patient listen. I am willing to wait for any more questions. I have given my mail ID in that sundararajan.ir. If you have any specific queries, you can throw it up to me on my way of mail and we have to respond. And if you have any queries now also, you can ask me. The next speaker is waiting for sharing his valuable thoughts. Thank you for patient listening. I hope I have satisfied you. Yeah.
Extension report சொல்லிருக்கியா? ஆமா. அது என்ன வருஷத்துல ஒரு வாட்டி நடக்குமா?
அப்படி கிடையாது சார். அது ஒரு depends on the banking requirements. சில பேங்க்ல என்ன பண்றாங்கன்னா every 18 months they send an inspection. சில பேங்க்ஸ்ல வந்து every 3 years they make an inspection. RBI sends AFI, annual financial inspection, once in 3 years in a circular. Large banks, very large banks, they do on an yearly basis also. So there is no specific format as well as between, but normally anywhere between 18 to 24 months they send inspection from the global inspectors.
இப்போ நிறைய ஸ்ட்ரீம்லைன் ஆச்சுல, ரிஸ்க் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட், அந்த டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் நிறைய பேக் ஹேண்ட் இருக்குதா மானிட்டரிங் இருக்கு.
இங்கே ரிஸ்க் தான், அதனால ரிஸ்க் பேஸ் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் பண்ணி தான் எடுத்து வர வேண்டியது. Any further queries? Not, I will resume my seat. Over to questions.
Sanction letter which the bank is providing for facilities, is it a legal document where the borrower can say the loan is being sanctioned and I can pay these liabilities. He's saying this is a long-term liability. Can he say, just based on the sanction letter, can he disclose that the liability is a long-term liability is financial?
See, as far as the long-term liability, short-term liability, as far as your Schedule 3 is concerned, very clear. What will be the liability which is going to happen in the next 1 year is going to be short-term liability. Anything beyond that is going to be long-term liability. Sanction ticket also will say like that today. For example, I can give a sanction today saying that the repayment will start only from 2026 onwards. At that time, the entire principal will be long-term liability only. Sanction ticket is a very, very valid legal document. They can rely on that. There is no second thought at all. But only thing is the terms has to be properly monitored and properly verified.
What if it is not disbursed?
If it is not disbursed, it is not a liability at all. What is your problem?
No, actually there was a case where the borrower has already paid the entire and he was doing a reimbursement for those expenditure from the bank. Because it was a term loan as against the plant and machinery which is already installed. For which they have already got the raw materials and they've got the invoices from the vendor end. And what they are showing is this loan has been sanctioned. There is a sanction letter as on March 24. And they say this liability to the vendor is a long term. And the loan
Anyway, liability in respect of fixed assets is a long-term liability only. See, forget about this banking, etc. I am talking on Schedule 3. Whenever a liability is created in respect of fixed assets purchase, it's long-term liability only.
But the vendor's credit term is only 30 days.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because our Schedule 3 is very clear. Whenever liability is created because of a purchase of a long-term asset, the liability has to be long-term liability. That's particular law. This is a different thing altogether. It's a, I don't know what was the reasoning for that particular.
I was just wondering whether problems faced by banks or problems created by banks. Most of the time, the problems are created by banks also. Because of, you can say, there are a lot of issues are there in the forex operations, like credit monitoring, how banks are seeing the documents as clearly pointed out all those deficiencies. Here also there are certain deficiencies. But I don't want to cover all those things because I don't want to say what is the mistake I do it. And most of this session was meant for professionals working in banks. Now I come to know that I think none of you are working in bank. So I don't know whether how much justice I can do for this session. Or that is prepared, keeping in view that you will also understand. That you understand at least 50%, so 50% would be my job. But anyhow I can, what I want to ask you is whether you have done any forex transactions. Any forex transaction. So no foreign exchange transaction has been done on your personal level or for your office or for your company where you are working. You have never handled any forex. I don't know whether it is easy for me to cover this or not. I am not sure. What you are trying to take as is on URC 522. This is one of the very, very important policy guidelines of International Chamber of Commerce. This International Chamber of Commerce, all know as a charter of the ICC, they frame the policies or they frame the guidelines how the foreign exchange has to be performed in the world. They give all the policy guidelines if it is a LC transaction, if it is a non-LC transaction, what are the policies that has to be done. And these policies are not throughout the world. No country can say that I don't follow this guideline. Or they have to tell it in advance that we don't follow any ICC guidelines. So you and I will come to know that whether this country is following it or not and what type of safety precautions we have to take. So under that ICC guidelines, URC 522 is also very important. URC refers to uniform host of collection of your export documents. So many exports do happen from India. The exporters sell goods throughout the world. The exporters are selling. They have to realize the money also. That's more important. export, you buy the goods from local market, you give money, and you finish the goods and you manufacture the goods, you buy the goods and you sell it overseas. For what? For getting the money back. So getting the money back is more important. So that is why this rule is framed for how to get the money. And if you don't get the money, what are the safety precautions you have to take to get back the money? So though we will not be covering all those aspects because this was mostly designed for bankers, so only two aspects will take more importance will be on two aspects where the bankers have to take sufficient steps, sufficient precautions. So before we start, you know that whatever we are doing, whatever activity we want to do, or whatever we are doing on a daily basis, we have to understand what is that it's meant for, and why we have to follow that. This applies not only to URC and UCP, this applies to day-to-day life. So whatever we are doing, we should understand what is it we are doing, why it is we are doing, and why it is being done, how it is being done. We have to go through this in our day-to-day activities. Then our thinking will be different, our way of doing the job also will be different, and will be perfect in many of the operations. All those slipshots will not happen. So you should understand this structure, how, what, when, who, where, and all these things. If you understand clearly, then all the job will be very clear. So this is the URC Uniform Rule for Correction. As I said, International Chamber of Commerce is framing these guidelines. These guidelines are there from 1956 onwards, not a recent one. But the recent one, what we are now applying on our day-to-day basis, was released in 1995. So their publication, ICC, they have their serial number of publication. So this publication number was 522. So that's why we call it as URC 522. So it's a publication number. It has nothing to do with any year or anything like that. So it's a very small ICC publications. The smallest one is URC. So I have to thank sir for asking me to speak on URC, which is the very, very smallest policy guideline of International Chamber of Commerce. So why? So what we have just seen is URC 522. URC 522 is a guideline issued by International Chamber of Commerce, which is applicable to all the member banks, all the member countries. So India is also one of the member countries, and almost all the countries are members of ICC. So now we'll just go through why. So it's a matter of streamlining trade. Just as I said, the exporter is buying the goods, manufacturing the goods, and exporting the goods. For what? For getting the realization. So that is what the guidelines. So in between, the exporter is there and importer is there, and in between financial institutions are there. What are the guidelines each one has to follow? See, I am speaking from the exporter point of view. You suppose, assuming you are an importer, you pay the money. The risk is on you, whether you will receive the goods or not. Right? Importer also faces the risk, whether he will get the goods on time, whether the quality goods will be reaching him or not, or whether first of all goods will come to him or not. So similarly for exporter, he exports the goods, whether funds will come or not. In between, bankers are there who have lent money and they are also interested in getting the bills realized. Then only their loan will get adjusted. So all the stakeholders are there. Your exporter is there, your importer is there, intermediary banks are there. So everybody is involved. So there are guidelines prescribed by URC 522 how each and every party has to conduct themselves. So that's, as I said, exporter assurance of receiving the payment, importer assurance of receiving the payments. In between, financial institutions, recovery safeguard of their funds, if at all they have lent for those exporter and importer transactions. So then, who are the parties? Who are the parties for these rules have been framed? So these are generally the four parties who are involved in every transaction, every import and export transaction. The principal or the exporter is called the principal under these guidelines, or is the seller of the goods, or is the drawer because he draws the bill of exchange. And importer is also called payee or drawer because he is the one who signs the bill of exchange. He is also called a drawer or a buyer of goods. And remitting bank. Don't take your total practice, the one bank which is remitting or which is sending, normally who sends on behalf of a buyer only someone remits the funds, no? So here it is exactly opposite. Here remitting bank means I am sending the documents, and exporter's bank is sending the documents. So that is why it is called a remitting bank. And like the collecting bank. Collecting bank is one who is collecting the money. So collecting the money from the importer. So importer only has to pay the money. So importer has to pay the money to the collecting bank. So collecting bank is also called as importer's bank or a presenting bank. In most cases, the collecting bank will also act as a presenting bank, or sometimes collecting bank and presenting bank both will be different. Both are not the same. So in that case, there will be one more layer of intermediary banks. That is the actual importer's bank who will be called as presenting. Any doubts still here? Hope you are able to understand.
Remitting bank is also called as a buyer bank.
Buyers.
Yeah, buyer and
Sorry, it's a seller's bank. Sorry. It's a principal bank. Thanks for that. See, as I said, URC is meant, URC guidelines are uniform rules for documentary collection. How the documents are to be collected. Once an exporter manufactures the goods and exports the goods, so you have some basic documents which an importer has. Because the people who are not conversant with the export transaction, import transaction, or you have done it for your office, or not you have done any personal transaction. It's very difficult. Certain type of documents a buyer will always need. When you do it, buy something from the shop also, what will ask? Will ask for a commercial invoice. Will ask. If there is a guarantee is there, then we ask for guarantee card. Certain documents, if there is we have paid through credit card, you will ask for the credit slip also. So these are the basic documents we require. Similarly, an importer also will ask for certain documents like shipping bill, like your bill of lading, that's the transport document, the bill of exchange, commercial invoice. Sometimes we'll ask for country of origin also, where the goods are originated. Because many countries have different taxation for goods manufactured from a particular country. We'll have a avoidance of double taxation treaty. So in that you need to know from which country these goods has originated. Then only whether these goods will come under exemption of its customs duty or not. So all those things, for all those things, the importer will ask for a set of documents that he has to receive from exporter. So the exporter, once after shipping the goods, he has to prepare all the documents and give it to his banker. So the banker has to send it for collection to the overseas buyer. So normally, your URC guidelines are for documentary collection. So here, then once we say it's meant for documentary collection, two questions arise. What are documents? As I said, what are the documents and what is collection? As I said, documents, the certificate of origin is there, bill of lading is there. Bill of lading is a shipping document. Shipping bill is the document which our customs authorities will issue. Whenever the goods are exported from the country, customs authorities are the first people for whom the goods have to be shown by the exporter. He has to refer the goods, he has to show at what value the goods are there. Customs department do the inspection. They also have expertise people working there with them to find out the value of the goods also. So accordingly, they will give a value for the goods to ensure that no undervaluation or overvaluation happens. They give one document called shipping bill. So all those documents are collected. They are called commercial documents. So documents enable, why these documents? Documents enables transfer of title of the goods. So when the goods are exported, suppose goods are exported from here to Singapore, the goods are still owned by the exporter. How will the importer receive the goods? Only through the documents, only through the bill of lading. Right? So here, the bill of lading, once the bill of lading reaches the Singapore, and and the Singapore party makes the payment and receives the bill of lading, then he will hand over the bill of lading to the shipping companies, and the shipping company will release the goods. Otherwise, shipping company will not release the goods. So, your documents should enable transfer of ownership. If a document is not able to enable transfer of ownership, then there is no point. No point. No, you will not get the delivery of goods. So there are two types of documents: financial documents as well as commercial documents. Financial documents refers to the payment, like your bill of exchange, promissory note, checks. They are all part of your financial documents. And commercial documents relates to trade, all your commercial invoice, transport documents, your invoice copies, your certificate of origin. There are so many documents which an importer country will insist for. So all those documents the exporter has to prepare. So they are part of commercial documents. So now we'll see what is collection. Just say what are documents. Documents are financial documents, commercial documents. What is collection? So collection refers to handling of documents. Handling of documents for the purpose of receiving the payment and transferring the ownership of the goods to the importer. So as I said, documents are submitted by the exporter to their banker for collection. So today, when you have done an export, you hand over all the documents to your banker. For collecting the funds, collecting the proceeds of the exports. So you hand it over to the banker for collection. Documents are released. So what the bank does, the bank has counterparty banks in almost all countries. So we have one-to-one relationship in many banking. Suppose in Singapore we have a tie-up with some bank. So what we do, we process this document and send it to our banker, our co-banker or our partner bank in Singapore for realizing the exports. So what they do, documents are released to the importer by their banker. So that bank, what he does, he presents the documents to the customer. The importer gets the money from him and releases the document. So that money is again transferred to India. So this is how the normal process happens. So that's why documents are released to importer by the banker. URC specifies the roles and responsibilities. URC, what it does is, it specifies the roles for exporters, it specifies the role for importers, it specifies the roles of intermediary banker also. So very clearly the guidelines are there. Though the guidelines are very short, very sweet also, as Sarah said, small is sweet. So very sweet, it's very clear. If you open a URC 522, it is very, very clear. You will not get any doubts at all. Maybe because you have not handled those parts, you may have some confusion, but otherwise it is very, very clear. No ambiguity anywhere. Because these are the guidelines that is meant for throughout the world. Throughout the world, it is meant for. So it is very, very crisp and very, very clear understanding. People can understand. And one of the main guidelines, one of the very, very important guidelines of URC comes in article. Bank is not under any obligation to handle it. If today my customer comes and says, these are the export and where, please arrange for collection, I can say, I will not handle this. It can be any reason. Any reason. I need not give reason also to the customer. I say, I am not interested in handling it. Customer cannot argue with us that you have to handle this, or he cannot raise any complaint anywhere at all. Because there are so many internal guidelines of the banks that will not handle this kind of this type of commodities. They export to a certain particular countries, or we don't have a partner bank in those countries, or exports to that countries always payment will not come on time. As in your normal day-to-day operation, you would have encountered so many problems. So based on those problems, you will have one particular set of internal guidelines out there that we will not handle for such and such country or such and such goods or for such and such importer. Importer also you can cut list if you feel that he is not making the payment on time. So URC guideline very clearly states that you can refuse handling the document. Similarly, the partner bank also can refuse. I may be willing to handle this document and I'm sending to a partner bank in Singapore. He can immediately say, no, I am also not going to handle this document. He can also say. So this is the benefit given in URC 522. Very clearly it says, given this benefit without assigning any reasons. Only thing is, if you are not going to handle the document, bring it to the information of the respected customer, or if it is an overseas partner bank, to the banker in India, because of which assuming it is export from India, and to the customer immediately that we are not going to handle the document, you better see some other bank. Right? So this is one of the first, if you open the URC itself, in the second paragraph itself, you can find this. Bankers are under no obligation to handle the document. That is the reason why many banks say we don't handle all this. Many documents we refuse because we have our own internal guidelines not to deal with certain countries and certain customers or certain products. And another thing is, bankers are not responsible on account of documents not reaching the partner. There will be any natural calamity may be there, some problems will be there, strikes will be there, courier will not reach on time. Bankers are not responsible. Because we are only an intermediary handling the documents. I have to send the documents and I am preparing the document and sending it to my partner bank in Singapore. If it doesn't reach us, Singapore, your export, it reaches in 2 days. Colombo, same day, morning means evening, it can go. But assuming if documents don't reach there on time because of some problem, some strike or some band, if you are in Calcutta or in Kerala, band and the strike can happen any moment. So your documents may not be able to reach it. And the customer will be unnecessarily involving higher charges in the port. Because the goods would have already landed there. So these problems are there. So that's why bankers are not responsible for, if any, because of delaying documents. Please note another one important rule is, banks deal only in documents. Banks don't guarantee the product. Banks don't deal we are not going to, bankers don't come and do the inspection of the goods what you have exported. Bank will not certify the value of the goods also. Banks deal only in documents. Documents should be perfect. If the documents are perfect, banks are not concerned with the goods at all, only with the documents. So here, these are the two regulations which, because this session was meant for bankers, so these are the two sessions which are the two slides which are very, very important. Are what are the roles and responsibilities of a remitting bank? What are the roles and the responsibilities of a collecting bank? These two are very important from the banker's point of view. Because, as I said in the initial lesson, the bankers are problems are being faced by the bankers, or problems are created by the banks. So this is whenever, as I said, whenever you give the documents, export documents, assuming that you are an exporter and you give the documents to the banker has to look at based on your documents, bankers has to prepare one covering schedule or collection schedule they have to prepare. Collection schedule, these documents are attached to the collection schedule and sent to the partner bank in the overseas country. So the collection schedule is a must. And that collection schedule should clearly state who is the exporter, who is the importer, what is the value of the goods, what is the amount that has to be collected, what are the documents that is being attached, whether it is original, then original, how many sets, 1 copy, 2 copies, 3 copies, whether they are photocopies, it has to be clearly mentioned. Many slipshots happen here. And in many cases, what has happened is, in many banks nowadays, the branches don't do this type of activity. Because in many banks, they have all set up what you call as central forex processing center, like back office, they are set up, where all those operations are handled at the centralized location. So these branches, what they do, they scan the document and send it to their their centralized back office. So the back office, based on the document, based on the scanned copies of the document, they prepare all those coverage schedules and all those things. They do the entry in their CPS, and based on that entry in their core banking solution, the branch, what they do, they download the coverage schedule. So once, assuming that the central processing team has completed the task and the branch has taken the printout of the coverage schedule, that coverage schedule has to be checked whether the documents are whether what is mentioned in the coverage schedule are in order. So this is where the mistake happens. Some slipshots here and there, it creates problem. It delays the process of getting the collection from the customer. So sometimes the customer will say make the payment on demand. See, when you are when you are sending export to overseas countries or even selling in the local market, you can ask for cash payment. Or sometimes you give credit also to your customers. You can pay after 50 days or 1 month. So similarly here also, even in your export or import transaction also, you are given the benefit, you will say hand over the documents against the payment. The customer, the importer, the buyer will make the payment and take the document. Or you can say on usance period. Yeah, but you can give 30 days time, 60 days time, 90 days time, you will be giving. So for that, the customer will give a declaration that will make the payment on so and so date. That's for the bill of exchange, he gives a declaration that he will make the payment. If it is to be payable after some time, after 30 days or 60 days, then the coverage schedule should tell what is the amount, what is the how many days the tenor period, what is the rate of interest involved, how the rate of interest has to be calculated. It was an international market. The forex market works on 360 days to this one. It is not 365 days as domestic market. Whenever you calculate the interest, you divide by 365 year more into number of days divided by 365. There, number of days divided by 360. So it sometimes happens into 365 by 360 also it happens. So in international market, we work on 360 days principle, not 365 days. So all those details have to be clearly mentioned in the coverage schedule. Here only the problem happens. Many of the banks do slipshots because of the rush of work or any problem. So the branch which is taking the printout of this, they have to ensure that everything is correct. All the details are correctly mentioned, and the branch has to courier the documents. The courier also has to be correctly placed. So whichever country or whichever bank the document has to go, the document only should be kept in the coverage center. So sometimes they also commit the mistake of putting some other document in some other courier and sending. So these are the problems which is done at the correcting bank. And URC is very, very clear. If you have done anything wrong, then you will be held responsible. So bankers' duty is very, very clear. Roles and responsibility. 13-month role is coverage schedule has to be prepared. Coverage schedule should carry all the details, no slipshots. If damages occur because of your mistake, then bank is liable for damages. So these are the documents, as I said. Roles and responsibility, presenting client details, terms and conditions of payment, charges, remittance instructions, from where you have to collect the charges, how much charge you have to collect. All those details has to be mentioned in the coverage schedule. So coverage schedule is a very, very important document because your partner bank, suppose this bank is sending the document to Singapore. Singapore bank will only see the coverage schedule only. He is not going to see the documents. For him, what is my instruction? Suppose Karur Vysya bank has sent the document to Standard Chartered Bank in Singapore. Standard Chartered Bank in Singapore will only see what is my instruction, what to do with this. Whether to take payment and hand over the document, or take a what do you say? It's a tenor period. Take acknowledgement from the customer. So what is it? He is not going to go open the see the document and find out whether I have correctly processed the document or not. It is not his job. So that is why all the more important the coverage schedule or correction advice is perfect in 100%. No gaps. Any doubts still? No? I think I hope I'm doing justice. Huh?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So this, after repeated the roles and responsibilities of debiting bank, the collecting bank. As I said, that bank which is in Singapore, or sometimes even in India. We are bankers to exporters, or also we are bankers to the importers. Suppose our customers are an importer and we are getting the document from overseas country. Our customer has imported something, some goods from overseas country, and the documents are coming and landing in our counter at the branch. So what happens? The moment you get a import, it is your duty to inform the customer immediately, whether the same day or the next day. You have to tell the customer that such and such document has been received. Do not delay. Most of the time happens, delay is there. What the staff, because of his having other work, he will take the document, put it in his trial test, and forget for 1 or 2 days. Till the customer only comes and asks whether the document has been. So, see, small things, very important to see small things in. And small concentration you will miss, no? Then it will be very huge problem. Because the amount of charges which a customer has to pay to the port authorities is mind-boggling. If you go, they will give only free period for some 2 days or 3 days. Beyond that, their charges are very exorbitant. So, even you should not do a small mistake. Export-import transaction itself involves $0. Zero tolerance. Not only that, the income for the bank is very minimal. Very minimal. It is most of this export or import transaction, what the bank earns is around 2,000, 3,000 rupees. But when something wrong happens, the penalty the bank has to pay is very huge. So we have to be very extremely careful while handling the export and import documents. So similarly, once the document is received, the branch has to inform the importer that they have received the document, and it also has to be entered in your CBS. The document has been received. Whether the customer has paid or not, immediately you have to put in your core banking solution. It has to be done. Then whatever the payment instruction, whether you have to collect the money from the customer and hand over the document or obtain the acknowledgement from the customer, accordingly the instruction what we have received from the overseas banker, accordingly. Any doubts till here? So as I said, the payment terms. We are referring to about the payment terms, whether any document will have only, either it can be payable on demand or payable on nuisance, tenor period. So if it is a tenor period, then you take the acceptance from the customer, acceptance from the importer, and hand over the documents. If it is against the payment, collect the payment and hand over the documents. So there can be only two ways you can hand over the documents to the customer, to the importer, take the money or take the acceptance. So it's a very easy job for the collecting bank. But the problem is the remitting bank should have mentioned in the covering schedule correctly. If the exporter wanted to be on nuisance term, that is tenor period of 60 days, and the remitting bank writes on demand, payable on demand, then the problem comes. So unnecessarily there is a fight here between the collecting bank and the importer. So this delays the process. So again, the bank has to send one swift message. There's a no countries of the same duration. Timings are different. Singapore is now night 10 o'clock, whereas America is morning 7 o'clock. So any messages will take minimum 24 hours for the other bank to check and come back to us. This also incurs additional costing for the customers. So we have to be extremely careful while handling the documents because of these time zone differences also. So and yes. Swift messages goes instantly. Okay. But the problem is because it is time gap is there, they may not be viewing the Swift messages immediately. Acknowledgement you will get it within 5 minutes, within 1 or 2 minutes. But acknowledgement is that then the SWIFT message has been delivered to that respective address. So when he is going to open and when he is going to see it is very difficult. Because if you see in major markets or you have developed countries market, all those SWIFT messages are all straight through processed. There are in the SWIFT messages when you are sending, there is a payment messages is there, non-payment messages are there. Payment messages goes STP. It will hit our account, and wherever we have to send the money, it goes to that account also sometimes. So it is STP. It can go in just 5 minutes, everything can happen. But in case of non-payment message, someone has to come to that office, take a printout, go through it, everything. So in developed countries, they don't have that much staff to do this type of job. So it takes 1 day or 2 days to get a reply. Similarly, here also for us, the more time we spend on the payment rather than giving time for the non-payment message. Non-payment messages always depend on whether we are having sufficient staff on that day, whether how is the load and all those things. So if there is no staff strength on that day or the load is much higher, keep this pending. So SWIFT messages will do, but we should get the reply.
What systems and controls we had for that covering schedule, which is very important in this process?
Because
automated?
That is the reason why see what has happened now. From last few years, Reserve Bank of India is putting pressure on all the banks to start that central forex processing center. They don't want the branches to handle the operation part of the forex transaction. They want a separate, unique, specialized forex operation centers to be opened. So they are putting a lot of pressure on the banks. From last 10-15 years, they have been putting pressure on the banks to open a back office for forex operation. So because what will happen, this type of mistakes will get reduced, and there will be professionalism will come into the operations part. So that's why when it comes to the what happens now, if it is at the branch level, the influence of the customer also will be much higher. And he is a big customer. He will ask for something, these people will immediately do it and give also. Still that happens today also. If you are in a branch, if one customer comes and if he is a big customer, then the staff will do anything for the customer immediately. So those things should not happen. So that's why Reserve Bank of India says that you need to have a back office to handle all these transactions. So back office, when we are sitting here, we don't know who is ABC of that branch. For that branch, he may be a big client, but for us, he is one of the clients. So we will not look at that document with a biased mind. So he is a big customer. We should not be like that, or we should not ask him for more documents. We should not ask for confirmation, more confirmation. Those type of activity will not be there. So Reserve Bank of India feels that there is a professionalism in handling the documents, and because here the staff are all trained for that in that field, so the amount of mistakes are much less. I am not telling it will be zero error. It can never happen.
But since we are not in the banking industry, can we know that the income we generate, is it a break even, or is it good in India with respect to these mistakes? Because you said penalty is way higher than the income you get.
See, for us is a volume.
Yeah, it's
so you need to perform this many transactions on a daily basis. Then only it will become profitable for the bank. Otherwise, it's so when the bank is doing a forex business and setting up this type of centralized processing team with all those latest systems in place, definitely banks may be making money. Because you have to do minimum this many transactions, otherwise it will be. Because the charges that we pay for all the systems are also very huge. SWIFT message charges, the charges for sending SWIFT messages are also very high. Very high. And the RBI guidelines for SWIFT The SWIFT should be like this, your people should be like this system should be like this, the transaction should be processed like this. So whenever they come for inspection, Reserve Bank of India comes for, as Sir was pointing out, the annual financial inspection of Reserve Bank of India. So the Reserve Bank of India team also comes to our office to check how we are doing the transaction, whether we are complying with Reserve Bank of India guidelines or not. If you see the Reserve Bank of India website, if you open in rbi.org.in, there will be a notification button will be there. Under that you can see master direction. If you open that master direction, there will be different activities of banks for which Reserve Bank of India has laid down the direction how a bank should approach or how a bank should work. In that, if you open foreign exchange, around 20 guidelines will be there. For each and every activity, Reserve Bank of India has specified what is the activity the bank has to do for doing this transaction. For import there is one, for export there is one, import of goods there is one, import of services there is one, export of goods is there, export of services, normal remittance, all those things. So you need to be perfect in all those. So you have to keep sufficient strength. You cannot have few people to do all those activities. So you need to have sufficient strength also, with people knowing, understanding what they are doing. So again, the first slide, what I showed, what, how, why, all those staff members should know what they are doing. Otherwise, any mistake, then the customer will stop.
So the charges seen across the banks for exchange of
It is
except in the banks.
It is different between the customer and bank. So some banks are higher charges, some banks are lower charges. Depends upon how the customer is.
Interest rates.
Yeah, interest rates, similar to interest rates.
What if the banks can, without any reason, they can just say that they cannot handle these documents? What if all the banks are denied to take those documents? Where will the customer go? Is there any way of?
Tell you one thing, customer is very good. Don't think that customer doesn't do it. Customer is very intelligent. But he will behave as though he doesn't know anything. See, there are some, I'll tell you one thing. Basically, everyone knows that we are not supposed to deal with Iran. Right? It is very clear. Our country is not, because of restrictions, US government has put restriction. We are not supposed to import from Iran. And we are not supposed to export to Iran. But our customer will voluntarily do it from Iran. And will come and sit on your head to make the payment. He cannot handle that. Why he wants to import from Iran? Because he can get goods at 25% cheaper than importing from some other country. It is his profit motive. He knows very well. He knows very well when bank will not handle the transaction.
But in such case, UCO Bank will be able to do it.
But that is in rupee. UCO Bank will do as long as it is in rupee. But this customer wants to make the payment in AED or dollar. See, another thing is foreign exchange is we have to not only comply with Reserve Bank of India guidelines or Government of India guidelines. Forex also involves complying with the other country guidelines also. Other country guidelines. If suppose I am making the payment, in US dollar for one import that has happened from Singapore. US is not at all involved here because importing country is India, exporting country is Singapore. The currency what we are using for this transaction is US dollar. Because the currency we are using is US dollar, we have to comply with US government regulations. So we have no choice. If no means no. We have customer knows it very well. Customer knows it very well, and don't think that customers are doing export-import business without understanding the risk. They know very well. They sit on you, they want the transaction to be done. There might be some bans, might be because of the customer's relationship. Some may handle, some may not handle. But it is a high risk for them. As well I said, the charges what he is going to pay 5,000 rupees or 3,000 rupees, 4,000 rupees is pittance for the risk the bank is taking. Yes, sir.
For reply, which you can't reply also, I can reply also. There are certain items which we can't export out of it, or that bank doesn't want to teach them, which we can't say openly. Those things they will do it, and also the exporter knows how to do.
Sir, sitting in few days you sit in forest processing center and handle the transaction, you will come to know whether it is genuine document or not. You can easily find out without problems. I'll tell you one best example. Diamonds are imported in India. Diamonds are imported into India by normally the diamonds come through air, not in ship. It's air right. So the customs authorities has to check the diamonds. How will you check the diamond? Can anyone tell whether this diamond is pure 100%? No one can tell. No one can tell. And moreover, the custom authority who is sitting in the airport, no, he will issue the bill of entry. For, as I said, for exports, the shipping bill is given by the customs. For imports, the customs will issue a document called bill of entry. In that, he will mention what is the value of the diamond which has been brought into the country. So, based on the value declared in the bill of entry or shipping bill only, the bank will ask for the realization from overseas or will make the payment. So, if the diamond is imported by unit located in SEZ, then SEZ, then there is a customs authority in SEZ also. So he is the one who will release the ultimate bill of entry. Whereas, suppose the goods are coming into our airport, Meenampatnam airport. SEZ is located in Pankroti. From here to Pankroti, how it is going? It should normally, the customs authorities only has to take the diamond and hand it over in the SEZ. In the normal process. Where is the staff for customs? They will hand over the diamond to the customer only will take it to his SEZ. In between, he can do anything with it.
But the diamond is commonly coming to Gujarat and also to Maharashtra. And also, PNB is not
just imagine Surat is the backbone of diamond industry. Surat, you don't have an international airport, which is the nearest airport, Mumbai or Ahmedabad. In between, what happens?
So, PNB is not at all handling.
See what happens, if something wrong happens, who processes first, who is the first, who has to stand in the first row and get the beating is the banks. Immediately, Reserve Bank of India, the enforcement director will start asking bank, what is it you have done with this transaction? So it's all the more important that you do your, as Sarah said about the KYC of your customer has to be done, due diligence of your customer is important. And you always note, customer is not a fool. Customer knows everything. He is very, very intelligent. He will be as though he doesn't know anything. Disgrace. He knows everything. He has the best consultant. So, this one is the summary. What we learned is, you know what is UOC guidelines, what are the roles and responsibilities, who are the parties involved in the export and import transaction, what are the roles and responsibilities of bankers, different intermediary banks involved in this, and the timelines for payment, acceptance. So UOC in nutshell, very, very clear. Very, very clear. It's hardly 30-page document. Very, very simple. In simple English, it is there. You need not worry about it. Very, very clearly drafted the guideline of ICC. UCPCs are all very, very complicated because they are involving letter of credit. Letter of credit, lot of complications are there. But URC is very, very simple. So only thing is, as we said earlier, coverage schedule is very, very important from the bank, from the exporter's bank point of view. That is the basic document on which the entire payment happens. So we need to be extremely careful whether we are doing our duty correct as an exporter.
say Indian bank or branches, you are facing most of the problem from this ICC or with Reserve Bank of India regarding this collection of.
Well, both definitely will. We won't get problem from RBI also, nor from ICC also. Because
the revenue for the bank, you know, out of this export receipts, out of import receipts, out of collection, which is what percentage it will be?
Revenue from import LC will be higher because import LC, as I said, it's a fund-based limit. So it's a fund-based limit. Bank is giving the limit, expecting that the customer will make the payment on the due date. Otherwise, bank has to make the payment.
The collection document maybe 10% when compared to the other thing.
Yeah. Maximum revenue will be from import LC. Maximum revenue.
Import LC may be about 60-70% and outside export may be about.
Export LC will not be that much, you cannot charge. Import LC only is the maximum. That is around 60-65%. Remaining is all 35%.
This is regarding foreign trade. In addition to this, remittance out and in is also.
Outward remittance, inward remittance, as well as remittance, individual remittance.
In the foreign trade, this is the percentage, about 70%, 20%, and then. As an auditor, what we have to under correction document, what precautions we have? You can say some words, or you can say some words. Sorry, Mr. Sundararajan, do you have any experience on this?
As you rightly said, this documentation in respect of this collection, sending, etc. Whether it's going to start a classic example in a particular case, very important. When we were talking about it, I was thinking about this example. One of our clients have exported. Actually speaking, they have got an LC for a period of 90 days. In somewhere in the month of July 2023, 90 days LC. But what has happened is they were not able to make the product ready. So they have sent a time and they have taken a time. But LC was not extended. They have dispatched the product in the month of December. And went in the month of January. They used to let us go by way of ship because it's a long route. January, by the time 90 days are already expired. These bankers have sent a covering note to the proper manner, as you rightly said. Please accept the payment, accept the bill, and it's not a demand site LC, so it's a usance LC. So on a 45 days time, 45 days time expires in the month of February 2023. It started from 22-23. February 2023 onward, they have not made any payment. These guys were sincerely asking with this borrower. Unfortunately, this buyer is a gullible player. I mean, the customer is a gullible customer. He was not aware of it. So he was asking for the money. Bankers have been saying, oh, we are following with them, we are following with them. The bankers is actually not a gullible person. Ultimately, the other person has said that quality is not good, we will not make any payment. They want to enforce LC is already expired. So in this scenario, particularly as far as this particular customer is concerned, ultimately I went during the final audit, I was saying that this money is not collectible, so you have to write off from the auditor's point of view. I am not talking in the banking side, I am talking about the client side. Why should it be written off, sir? Many it is come on say it's LC. No, if LC is already expired. The bankers have, I don't know whether they have colluded with the supplier, but ultimately the bankers have missed your line. So in this scenario, what we can think from the auditor, from the banker's auditor's point of view, whether this documents which is being by way of a covering note covers all these items which is home to be given. Bankers will not bother anything. I am talking about the other banker. He is only actually a courier. Exactly a professional courier. He receives the document and hands it over. But at the time of handing over, he has to ensure either he collects it or accepts it. Beyond that, his responsibility is not there. So, as far as you as an auditor of a particular bank, which is acting in that particular situation, you have to examine whether that's happening or not. That's all. As far as bills for collection is concerned. But the same thing is not applicable in respect of your audit of a bank, where you are auditing for the purpose of import bills or, as a case may be, for bond bills purchased. There you will scroll to the change. So, we have to decide on what road we are and accordingly we have to act. That is very important.
For the concurrent audit mode, you have RBI guidelines only for all the transactions. So, until protocol has to check whether those guidelines, the Reserve Bank of India guidelines are compliant with the transaction.
You
Basic be in that.
checklist, have a checklist, item by item, compare and close the matter. Otherwise, we are never problem.
So, those are the
Very
transactions.
expensive is for instance.
Very
It's a very
If you are going to visit only 5 days or 6 days, you cannot do more than 2 or 3 documents checking honestly. It is not possible. You can hardly do 10 15
It's
presentation.
a problem for a person who is doing the audit of that branch, okay, foreign branch. Branch audit, you will need not be having that problem.
Branch in the foreign transaction is enough, you will be like,
They are all booking in the branch, which means it is the problem. Otherwise, it is a
dealer
central.
branch only.
See, that is the reason why Reserve Bank of India is insisting all banks to open this type of centers, so that Reserve Bank of India audit also is very easy, and then audit is also very easy. Because in those banks where centralized team is formed, the branch concurrent audit doesn't verify all those things. It is the concurrent audit of this department audit does
So you probably don't even have many of the details. The only thing that is being covered is
Fortunately,
IPD per
And the manager.
unfortunately, we are allotted that branch and it is a problem. You must know that. Knowledge.
If we are allotted IPD, then we have to be really updated. Keep on updating as well.
Thank you very much. I am not sure whether I have done any justice, but still,
Even though they prepared only for this person and it's unrecorded with the industry, but they managed to explain to the normal people also. Thanks, it is a really good. We have done positive.